The Chronicles of Chaos. The Miller Hathaway Meltdown. Chapter 1. The Essay of Doom. The morning in the leafy suburb of Oakhaven began not with the chirping of birds, but with the rhythmic thud of a dictionary hitting a mahogany table. "I can't write it, Mum. It's too much trauma for one Google Doc," wailed young Clara, staring at her laptop screen with the intensity of a condemned prisoner. Penelope Miller, a woman whose patience was currently held together by 3 double espressos and a prayer, leaned over her daughter. "It's just a summer essay, Clara. My best and worst experience. Just write about the beach." "But the beach wasn't the experience," Clara protested. "The experience was the Great Van Breakdown of July." The teacher said to use descriptive vocabulary. "How do I describe the smell of Grandpa Barnaby's fermented goat cheese in a vehicle with no air conditioning without getting suspended for using biological warfare as a metaphor?" Arthur, Penelope's husband, and a man who had mastered the art of disappearing into the background of his own life, walked in. "Just leave out the part where Caspian tried to jump-start the engine using a literal lemon and a copper wire, Clara. We want the school to think we're eccentric, not a danger to the electrical grid." The Miller family was a delicate ecosystem of neuroses, but they were nothing compared to the extended family. On one side, you had Penelope's parents, a woman whose love was measured in the number of appetizers she could force-feed you. On the other side were Arthur's parents. Dr. Alistair, a neurosurgeon who spoke exclusively in medical jargon, and Cassandra, an artist whose sculptures looked like scrap metal accidents, and who considered anything south of a 5-star hotel to be the trenches. This story, as Clara's essay would eventually detail, began with the announcement of the family cultural safari to the Atlas Mountains, or, as Barnaby called it, the trip, where I'm bringing my own skewers because I don't trust foreign lamb. Chapter 2. Scylla, Charybdis, and a jackhammer. While the trip was being planned, Cassandra was having an existential crisis in her studio. She was preparing for the neo-modernist sculpture biennial. Her piece, titled Scylla and Charybdis of Matrimony, was a massive, jagged hunk of granite that she intended to carve into a symbol of eternal struggle. However, the struggle became very literal when her neighbor, the eccentric Count von Hammerstein, decided that 7 a.m. on a Tuesday was the perfect time to begin a complete overhaul of his backyard grotto, featuring 3 jackhammers and a cement mixer. "It's psychological terrorism," Cassandra shrieked into the phone to her daughter-in-law, Clementine. "The vibrations are causing my Scylla to look like a lumpy potato. I need silence. I need a sanctuary. I am moving into your guest house immediately." Clementine, married to Arthur's clumsy brother Caspian, looked at her husband. Caspian was currently trying to fix a toaster and had already managed to blow a fuse in the kitchen. "Mom wants to move in," Clementine whispered. "Tell her the house is infested with rare, artistic termites," Caspian hissed. "She can't come here. I'm still hiding the fact that I accidentally used her found object wire sculpture as a trellis for my tomato plants." But Cassandra was a force of nature. Within 3 hours, she had relocated her granite slab, her chisels, and her sheer sense of entitlement to Penelope's backyard. "The light here is pedestrian," Cassandra remarked, inspecting the Miller's patio. "But the silence is." Chapter 3. The 1984 Adventure Express. In the driveway, Big Barnaby was unveiling his contribution to the family safari. To save money, he had opted out of the luxury SUV rental. Instead, he had purchased a vehicle from a man named Shifty Pete behind a bowling alley. It was a 1984 Volkswagen Vanagon, painted a shade of yellow that suggested it had once spent a decade underwater. "It's a classic," Barnaby beamed, slapping the side of the van. A hubcap fell off and rolled into the gutter. "It has character, it has history, it has a built-in stove for mid-travel sausages. It has a mushroom growing out of the upholstery," Arthur noted, pointing to a suspicious fungal growth on the driver's seat. "That's just natural insulation," Barnaby countered. "Now, everyone, pack your bags. We leave at dawn. Cassandra, bring your chisels. Alistair, bring your medical kit. I suspect Caspian will have a heat stroke by noon." The plan was simple: drive across the state to the national park for a practice run before the actual safari. However, as any novelist knows, a family trip in a haunted van is never simple. Chapter 4. Lost in the New Olympus forest. 6 hours into the trip, the family was thoroughly lost. Caspian had been put in charge of the GPS, but he had accidentally switched the settings to avoid paved roads and search for local folk art museums. "We are currently in a topographical void," Dr. Alistair announced, checking his watch. "Our heart rates are elevated, and the oxygen to carbon dioxide ratio in this van is becoming suboptimal due to Barnaby's insistence on eating garlic pickles in a confined space." "Quiet, Alistair," Martha cried. "I'm trying to see if I can spot a landmark. Is that a gas station or a grizzly bear?" Suddenly, the van gave a shuddering gasp, emitted a cloud of purple smoke, and died. It didn't just stop, it surrendered. "I told you," Arthur yelled. "I told you Shifty Pete was a liar. The engine is made of soda cans and hope." "Everyone out," Barnaby commanded. "We'll cut through the woods. My instinct tells me the campsite is just over that ridge. It's a shortcut. I call it the Barnaby Bypass. The last time you took a bypass, we ended up in a restricted military zone in Nevada," Cassandra muttered, grabbing her handbag and a silk scarf. "I am not walking through nature in these loafers. Nature is for people who don't appreciate indoor plumbing." Chapter 5. The Birdwatchers or the Assassins. As the sun began to set, the family was trekking through dense undergrowth. Paranoia, the Miller Hathaway family's secret ingredient, began to boil over. "Did you hear that?" Caspian whispered. "A rustle. It's the local hill people. They've heard of my rare comic book collection, and they're coming for it." "Don't be absurd," Cassandra said, though she gripped her heavy marble-carving chisel tightly. Suddenly, Barnaby pointed toward a clearing. "Look, 2 men. They have long-range scopes and camo gear. They're looking for us. They're the Atlas Mountain cartel sent to stop our safari." "Barnaby, we are in suburban Ohio," Martha sighed. But even she looked nervous when she saw the 2 men through the trees. They were indeed holding high-powered binoculars and whispering into headsets. "They're assassins," Caspian squealed. "Mom, hide. Arthur, use Clara as a human shield. She's young and agile." "Hey!" Clara shouted. The family dove into a ditch. For 30 minutes, they practiced tactical crawling. Cassandra managed to ruin a $400 skirt, while Barnaby tried to craft a weapon out of a selfie stick and a sharpened pepperoni. "I'll distract them," Caspian announced, surprisingly brave. He stood up and yelled, "Take me. I am the heir to a moderate amount of student debt." "Leave the sculptor alone." The assassins turned around, looking confused. They were 2 60-year-old men wearing Audubon Society hats. "Son," one of them said slowly, "we're just trying to spot a pileated woodpecker. You're making enough noise to wake the dead. And why is that old man pointing a pepperoni at us?" Chapter 6. The Secret Life of Fiona. Humiliated and hungry, the family finally found their way to a local diner to wait for a tow truck. It was here that the second great drama of the summer unfolded. Cassandra's sister, Fiona, had joined them for the weekend. Fiona was a dramatic woman who claimed to have been a famous lounge singer in Monte Carlo, though Barnaby suspected she had mostly performed at regional bowling alleys. Fiona had been acting strangely all day. When they sat down at the diner, she suddenly turned pale and ducked under the table. "Fiona, what on earth are you doing?" Cassandra demanded. "The floor is filthy. You'll catch a commoner disease." "It's him," Fiona hissed. "The baker, the man I left at the altar in the great pastry scandal of 2008. Maximilian von Strudel." A man in a tall chef's hat was walking toward their table. He was carrying a tray of eclairs and looking intensely focused. "He found me," Fiona cried. "He's followed my scent of Chanel No. 5 and regret. He'll demand back the engagement ring I sold to pay for my vocal lessons." Maximilian approached the table. He looked at Fiona. Fiona looked at him. The family held their breath. Barnaby reached for a fork. prepared to